There are three things you'll want to bring with you into this Grandmaster. The first is a lot of range. A majority of the encounters are going to be at least across the room, sometimes they'll be across the map. A bow and a linear fusion should have you covered there. The second is a solid one and done AoE super, specifically for the elevator room, which is easily the most difficult encounter in the run in my opinion. What I mean by one and done is a super you throw and then it does its own thing while you have the freedom to move around and shoot. My first picks for this would be a Top Tree Void or Stasis Hunter. The third is a delete button for the boss. If the entire team is prepared to shut her down at the beginning of the second phase, there won't even be a second phase, and it could be a critical determining factor in your success. Having everyone on a linear fusion will suffice. For this run, we had a Stasis Hunter with Vex and an Ursa Titan with Le Monarque that were largely responsible for ad control and stacking particle deconstruction, which allowed me to more effectively fulfill my role as the champion assassin with Arbalest. I also ran well so I could double function as support when needed. For armor mods, I've got the ever so life-saving Protective Light with Taking Charge and Elemental Charge with Fire and Ice. Don't forget Focusing Lens if you've got someone running Stasis. Getting into the run, we're gonna get on our sparrows and take the path to the right. Pause for a moment here to let the mobs join the fight on the bridge. Then one more jump and you're going to park your sparrow far away from the action so it doesn't blow up and kill you. There are several ways you can handle this entrance. Full disclosure, I do believe the named overload on the bridge needs to go down if you want platinum champions defeated for the loot. I am also of the belief that killing it is what spawns the next room. However, that's going to be the slowest route, and what you're looking at is an extra several minutes per attempt to get through the door instead of sub 1 minute or around 3 minutes, and with elevator room being the biggest run killer, my preference is on not adding that significant chunk of time to the beginning of the run. The sub 1 minute method involves a bottom tree and Viz Hunter, but just like we decided clearing the bridge was too slow, we ultimately decided this method was too fast because no one had their super for elevator room, but if you can find a way to get through elevator room without supers, there's the speed strat. I'll also share what we'll call the lazy strat. We tested this one day and literally the only thing you need to kill in the first area is the mini boss, and then around the 3 minute mark, give or take, everything just despawns. If you're not feeling that ambitious, there it is. But two things to keep in mind when deciding on your approach. First, every champion that goes down gives you a revive token, and the two overloads here are free real estate. Second, it is faster to clear the immediate threats than it is to wait for them to leave. This next room is the one that I believe clearing the bridge triggers the spawns in. If you ignore the bridge, this room is empty and you casually stroll through to the elevator room. Once you get in there, there will be an orb on each side of the room. Throwing it to someone charges it, and leaving it on the ground for too long will have it despawn, so we only pre-charge as many as we can hold. When the panel is activated, your first wave of enemies will come in. You'll want to shut down as many of them as you can before they start rotating, and when they do, keep in mind that they're going to take the shortest path between them and their target, so try to be grouped up on one side in order to get them all to funnel in the same direction rather than splitting up and having them close in from both sides. Clearing out the entire wave spawns the next one, so when it's just the mini-boss left, kite around while you pre-charge more orbs. Leave one person without an orb to finish the mini-boss and to defend the team from the axiom bolts being lobbed at you. While it's an easy choice to write off some extra time at the beginning, don't hesitate to draw this out if your AoE super isn't charged. We stalled for a solid minute here to secure a clean execution on the second wave. Stasis is pretty clutch on this encounter. These mini-bosses aren't immune to being frozen, so what's happening is Squall is removing the knight from the fight long enough for us to see which shields were taken down and react accordingly before we start rotating. And the intention with the positioning of my well is to have everything that survives rotate in the same direction towards us. Something to keep in mind is these mini-bosses are able to do more damage than the well can heal, so you gotta know when to dip. Don't forget to make an ammo run before you head to the exit, and I choose to focus the knights first as much as I can since they retreat when the unstoppable dies and force you into a range that makes them a threat. Speaking of a threat, there's several Shriekers throughout the next section, and they can be easy to space out on. Our attention span is dedicated to watching for things coming towards us on ground level, and these are not. You can bait them into opening by barely stepping into their range and then walking back out of it, and it's something you may want to do a couple times to save heavy ammo approaching the two ogres coming up on the other side of the bridge. The encounter that starts once you cross the bridge will teleport you between two rooms at a set interval, and each room is an ogre that needs to be taken out for the encounter to end. The taken room gets filled with Shriekers after the fight, so my preference is Dark Room dies first. I've had friends say they felt this was the most difficult encounter in this Nightfall, and I have seen it claim a fair amount of revive tokens. But having a plan goes a long way. Our plan was have ammo and delete taken ogre. This narrows the encounter down to one room and puts you in a good spot, though lots of things are still in the room you have left, so be prepared for unstoppables and an army of Arc Knights. Reminder for fellow Arbalest enjoyers that the biggest things in the room are your specialty. The Unstoppables at the exit of the Ogre Room don't seem to know how to champion. At least one of them gets stuck every time, but they're only stuck for as long as it takes for you to make fun of them for being stuck. Always prioritize snipers, they'll kill you faster than anything else. Well, with the exception of literally everything in the run, come to think of it. Try to be in the habit of exclusively using consumable ammo on champions when they're stunned. They take a lot more damage when they're in that state. There are of course exceptions to this, like when your team commits to a finisher on a champion that's definitely not going to be finishable before someone dies unless you do something to make them finishable in the next 2 seconds. If you glide to a lower platform before you start to freefall here, you'll drastically increase your chances of survival. Take your time through this outside section. There's several invisible enemies on the lowest platform, and nothing down there has the range to do anything before you drop down. A couple more overloads accompanied by snipers will try to catch you off guard before the boss, but try to conserve enough resources for ammo drop RNG to not be relevant for the entire boss encounter. This is another fight I've heard some nightmarish stories about, but having enough ammo to remove luck from the equation as much as possible will have you in a good spot. In order for this encounter to go smoothly, certain things should be happening at specific times. The first thing is, with the exception of starting the fight or grabbing the orb, don't go past this platform. This is your spot for as long as the game will let you stay there, and when the game doesn't let you stay there anymore, you won't be there anyway, but we'll get back to that. For now, it's just clearing ads. Try to spread out behind the available cover, as the boss has a ranged AoE that does a lot of damage, and she's not the only enemy over there that has AoE, so it can be pretty easy to lose revive tokens even on this platform. When the main area is cleared out, someone will need to grab the orb indicated by the objective marker. This will be used to take down the boss's shield, and if you throw it to a teammate first, you'll only need to do it once. An invis hunter is really nice to have for it, but you can also have someone run distraction. The projectiles are pretty slow and move in a straight line. With the orb charged and thrown and her shield down, take as much of her health as you can before she teleports away. When she teleports, another wave of ads will spawn in, and once they've been cleared out, we arrive at the second thing that should be happening in a smooth run. Which is, before her shield gets taken down with the orb again, the entire team rotates to the other end of the main platform, where the portal to the next area is going to spawn. Once there, hit her with the orb again and push her to 50%. Our Titan used their super on the way in to ensure survivability because in our first run, he didn't get teleported, and unfortunate side note, if you die in that area, you won't get teleported into the next section until the second phase starts, and as I mentioned before, we don't want the second phase to start at all. Take your time in this outside section. There's champions and snipers and the boss taking shots at you and space debris, and given that you're minutes away from conquering one of the most difficult Grandmasters, it can be a lot of pressure. You'll be stopping on the platform right before the one the boss is on. Have someone jump to and from her platform to spawn a wave of scions that can be taken out from range so that whoever goes for the orb doesn't have anything to worry about in addition to the boss. And again, the objective marker will be the orb that needs to be grabbed, passed, and thrown at her to take her shield down. Be super cautious, the bolts she's throwing are capable of one-shotting you in this last section. Once they're down, send someone in to make the orb run, and you can try to run distraction if you'd like, but she seems to have priorities now. If you're running the orb, stay in motion, and most of the time she struggles to keep up. Be prepared to delete the boss when her shield goes down. If she gets her shield back, the platform you're using becomes out of bounds while a wave of enemies spawns. You can use the orb's magnetism to curve it around the environment if she's being shy. And that is the Corrupted Grandmaster. Thanks for watching, good luck in there, and subscribe for more Destiny 2 content.